Good morning everyone. In this video I'm going to analyze the live price action for EU and DXY to see what opportunities we may have today. You're going to see my analysis and my strategy, so if you're interested in those then please stick around. Right, starting off on the daily, on the top is EU, on the bottom is DXY. What's the daily showing us? Well, yesterday we closed out as a bearish engulfing candle, right? Clear bearish day. We have now started to move into this discount imbalance here, right, in this daily leg. We've only just mitigated maybe like 10% of it, so there's still quite a bit to go. So we may still have a pull to the downside to move bearish in the future for EU. DXY, it's not moving well in that same range. Of course, we still had a previous day that was a bullish day. In comparison, we're nowhere near its premium imbalance POI. We haven't even fully filled its more discount POI here. The imbalance, we've filled most of it, but there is still some room there. So it could have done better to mitigate these imbalances and order blocks here. It's really holding this consolidation here, this range, right? It's made this high and price just isn't moving as well. We can see that we've made this downward move here and we've barely made an upward move here on DXY. So it is quite diverged. It's NFP today. We'll see. Candle might move a lot. At the moment, we could read that as DXY is refusing to go higher. So that's the way I see it. We could eventually mitigate this or find an area of support here or something on EU is what I'm thinking. And that will then continue with our bullish trend is what I'm thinking, right? While DXY is refusing to make those highs, right, and come up into this premium here. So it may just hold this area and then continue moving down at some point. So that's how I'm thinking about the only reason why it would be holding this area here and not moving into more of a premium value. So into today, we've still got our previous daily highs and lows intact for buy side and sell side liquidity. Same on DXY, but we are a lot closer to that previous daily high. We're somewhat bearish at the moment here and quite bullish on EU. So let's go down to the 4 hour and see what that looks like for us for today. So on the 4 hour, I think EU, the structure looks pretty clean, pretty clear. As I explained yesterday, we came up, mitigated this area, broke down again, making a new lower low, lower high, lower low. We pulled back somewhat yesterday and filled an imbalance here. Okay, we mostly filled it, but now it looks like we're still coming up to maybe fill the rest of it more of a premium, but we'll see that maybe on the 1 hour. So we still have this bearish leg to me. So we have a bearish leg and we may be pulling back up into the premium of it. However, as I said, we've already mitigated a gap here. So this might fail and just continue lower. I don't know. But the structure is pretty clear in terms of bias. So it still looks bearish. We're still making bearish structure. So until that changes and we start making higher highs and higher lows, 4 hours bearish for me. If I zoom out just slightly, we also still have 4 hour imbalances below, right, which is obviously deeper into that daily imbalance. We have a 4 hour order block here as well, where we can see a lot of bullish momentum came from, making a higher high above here. So we'll see how far down price wants to go, but these are just references that we may still get drawn down lower into price. So now the most confusing thing that I can see when it comes to using DXY, to analyze these pairs is the fact that DXY did take that buy side liquidity and then create a lower low. So it's also got a sort of bearish structure to it. So EU has this bearish structural leg, while DXY is also within this bearish structural leg here. We did, of course, as I mentioned when we pulled back, mitigate these 4 hour POIs and have some sort of bullish behavior from there, but we didn't make the higher high, right? So there is clear diversion here. So if I just point it out from this low to this low here, right, and then from this high to this high here, we've clearly got divergence here, right, because we've got a lower low, right, and we've got a high and lower high. Whereas if we've gone lower low here, we should have high high. DXY is clearly showing some weakness, as I mentioned on the daily, right, from holding this area. So we've pulled back, we've refused to make that high high, and that would make this low look weak. So DXY definitely has the potential to go on and make a lower low. Now nothing's set in stone, but usually that divergence is an early sign of that weakness. So not to overcomplicate things, but then we can think, okay, so how far is this pullback going to go possibly? We'll see what happens there. but clear divergence on the high time frame at the moment. However, that doesn't mean that price still can't go lower into these areas here and mitigate that daily imbalance while still holding this divergence, right? And that could be a signal for a later bullish drive. But at the moment, we are fairly bullish here, so it could be showing those signals for it to play out now to come back to this premium. Just to reiterate, 4-hour structure here is clear, but we have that divergence on DXY where DXY is also bearish. We may see some bullish price action come into the market, but the structure for the moment is still bearish. So I would still be looking for shorts if structure plays that way once we're back up into the premium or in a POI on the higher time frame on EU. So let's go down to the 1 hour and see what that shows us, see if it's any clearer. So now on the 1 hour, I think the structure is even clearer on EU, right? We had our consolidation, sweep of buy-side liquidity, breakdown. We now look to be pulling back to possibly this premium POI here. We do have this order block, right, at the top of that premium. We did pull back to a premium as I showed and mitigate that somewhat and came back down. However, when we didn't make this lower low, that does make this high weak. So we created a lower high, which failed to make a lower low, and now we're pulling back. So this could be a source of buy-side liquidity for this POI here. This is an imbalance and order block, right? So it may mitigate the imbalance or order block, and then we can see structure continue to go short. So I think this is a good point to look for the shorts and the sells and for bearish price action. So I think the 1 hour is very clear there. This is where the SMC divergence occurred and price broke down. So we can see with this low to a lower low and this high to a lower high. So EU obviously refused to make that high high at the time and broke down. Now, as I mentioned at this low, we've got the low and lower low, and we've got the high and lower high here, right, which has indicated some strength, and we are seeing some strength. This strength may only be for this pullback. The strength indication from EU, right, and the weakness indication from DXY when it refused to make that higher high. So we're seeing that play out now, possibly, and price may hold this area or we could go beyond it. So we'll wait to see what price action we see here. Now if I zoom out just slightly, you can see we took some sell side liquidity below these lows here, and also that's within that daily imbalance as well. So we have mitigated some sell side liquidity there. So now price is obviously seeking out buy side liquidity and these imbalances to mitigate. Now in terms of area of support on DXY, we may find that support as well where this 1 hour POI is on EU. We may find the same support here on DXY, right, once this imbalance is properly filled with this as inducement as sell side liquidity. Okay, so we may see that, or price may come and take sell side liquidity below the previous daily low. We can see what happens there, but this would be the ideal area to look for shorts. As I said, at the moment I would say we can get those counter trend longs possibly up into this area, but we'd have to be wary and look for something high probability. So I think I've said enough on the 1 hour. I hope that was clear. Let's go down to the M15, see what opportunities may be available for today. So here we are with this M15 price action. Of course, its external leg shares the same leg as the 1 hour. So we've got this bearish leg here. Price pulled up. We've left this as a possible inducement. Come back down. We've got our overnight price action in the Asia range here. London open, held these lows, continuing to make higher highs internally now, pulling back to this area, which is the premium of the external leg. Okay, so external leg, and now we're making these internal bullish legs, pulling back possibly to this area. And of course we have the same with DXY, we're pulling back bearish. Now we do have the same M15 order block, say down here just below this low, this sell side liquidity as inducement. Up here, this 1 hour POI is also a 15-minute order block as well. Now, as I have said before, I wouldn't just execute at this area because that's not my style. I would wait for order flow to come into this area and then we break down, right? So this may be a low, so a break of structure around here, or for price to come in again and break down, right? Then we get our pullback to this area to go low again. So we may see something like this, but preferably what I would want is for price to keep moving correctively, come into this area, right? I wouldn't set my order here, as I mentioned. I'd want to see it break down. So we've got our break of structure with momentum from that area, confirming on the lower time frame that it wants to respect this zone, and then we can get our pullbacks to a lower time frame order block with imbalance to then continue short with trend. So this is how it would look best to me. Order block created around this area with imbalance, break of structure around this area, possible inducement from a corrective pullback around here, and then I would set my order to go short from this area here, stop loss just above the highs, and you just aim for wherever you aim for. I wouldn't aim for 9%, but the potential is there to aim for that previous daily low. Again, it is NFP today. We may not get to execute. I think you'd have to get a nice early London move. I wouldn't want to do it anywhere between the London crossover or the New York session. So this would serve as inducement for this area. It may work out. You may be able to set an order here, right, if that's your style. Maybe to be safe, have your stop loss above Asia or something like that. But I don't know where price is going to go to seek out buy side liquidity, especially on an NFP day. So I would avoid that. This is the prime sort of trade I'm looking for. Once this area breaks down from here, we get to pull back into another order block to continue short with trend. That way, we're going to get DXY possibly doing this. And that's what I would be looking for. Now, until then, yes, of course, there's the possibility of longs to target this high here and to go into this zone here, which may be a draw on price. So we may see price pull down possibly to this area here, this M15 imbalance with order block behind it to go long from. Now, I don't think this would be a terrible trade. The only problem here for me is we'd have to cover those lows, right? So it's the M15 order block here, imbalance here. I would want my entry to be as tight as possible, right? Because this is about a 14 pip stop, 13 pip stop to cover the low of the order block, okay? Which means I would have to target quite high in price, right? To get the risk reward that I would want. So it's not favorable to me. Maybe if price was to come down and provide some sort of 5-minute entry out of that area, we could look into it. But again, I favor the shorts from up here if structure shows for that. So that's everything. I hope it was clear. I hope you gained value from that. Any questions, let me know in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.